We got some new Greedfall gameplay to go over that showcases more combat, the loot from one of the mini bosses, the world map and more. Plus, there are some people that already got the game early. One person called Eternity Raven 16 is actually already streaming the game and got to the arena. That looks pretty awesome, so I want to show some brief footage of that. Let's get into it. Would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support. And let's go. The developers of Greedfall posted a 13 minutes look at the game that is actually an alternative version of the B-roll that I received after playing the game at Gamescom, and it actually shows and explains some more about the game's combat, for example. Enemies namely have these shields above their health bar that you have to destroy first before you can do some serious damage and get the HP bar to 0. There doesn't seem to be a specific way to do this, just deal damage like you normally would, but I think it highlights the strength of the enemy while maintaining the same size of HP bar compared to other bosses. We see an early game mini boss here. This is around the level 15, so that's why it likely has free shields. While if we look at other gameplay that was shared in other trailers, we see enemies with 8 shields, for example. You also have shields above your health bar, and this can be increased the further you get into the game. So it's an interesting extra system to showcase how strong you and the enemies are. The Fury bar is another important part of the combat. This is the yellow bar under your mana that increases as you deal damage. And then with the left trigger, so L2, you can spend that Fury to do a powerful attack. I think this is based on the weapon you are currently holding. So if you have a ring equipped to do magic attacks, then you do this powerful magic bolt, but you will likely do some powerful slashes if you have a melee weapon. They also once again showcase the pause menu that you can use during combat to, in this case, use an antidote to cure the poison attack from the mini boss. But of course you can also use it to select an offensive move or grab a health or mana potion. I told you about the rewards from this mini boss in my previous video, but now we actually got footage of this. So after killing this optional boss, you can loot it for crafting materials, but actually also loot the corpse that is nearby. Like this person died from this creature and you could not loot it during combat, so only after killing the boss. And here you will see 2 legendary gear pieces, and this first one significantly increases your armor and balance, and I think that the balance are the shields above your health, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, to equip this item you need to have endurance level 2, so spend an attribute point in the endurance that also increases your life points and balance in general. And while you start the game with 1 attribute point, you actually only get 1 per 4 levels, so it might be that you find gear but then cannot use it for a long time. The amount of dots on the gear item represent the extra enhancements that you can apply at the workbench in your camp. So this chest has 3, so you can add a strap to it, for example, or a shoulder that makes your character stronger and also adds this extra cool visual look to your outfit. Also interesting is the coin guard soldier's key that you can loot that will open a chest with a description hinting that it must be somewhere near the closest military camp. So I'm sure that this will include some pretty nice loot as well. And then you got a great reward from this mini boss that you did not have to kill. So it makes challenging this boss totally worth your time and effort. In the new gameplay demo they also show the fact that at a campfire you can change the time of day. So if you want to play during day while it is night, just sleep at the campfire and it will be sunny again. During my play session at Gamescom, I was also able to change the time of day at a bed in a house inside one of the cities. You start the game in Serene, so on the old continent that has been plagued by this curse that actually killed a lot of people there. So I first thought that this was just a location for the tutorial, but turns out that you can actually do a lot of missions here too, and spend quite a lot of time before you go to the island where most of the game takes place. And we actually got Eternity Raven 16 on Twitch, who already has been playing through Greedfall. Link to his channel is in the description if you want to see some unedited gameplay. So one of the things that stood out was that he actually spent quite a lot of time in the first area. It took him 3 hours to go to Tier Freddy, while he could have stayed on the island and did some extra missions that weren't finished. So pretty cool that you can indeed spend quite a lot of time on Serene on the old continent. And a funny thing is, when you decide to move to Tier Freddy, is that the first location that you will be able to explore is called New Shireen. That looks way more lively than its counterpart. This is also where Eternity Raven 16 found the arena. We'll touch on that a little later in the video. Another big city we can explore that is over here on the map as showcased in that extra Greedfall gameplay is called San Mateos. And this is named after Saint Matthias, the holy founder of the religious nation, with many pilgrims also coming to this place, so it sounds more like a religious city to me. There's also another city in the game that is over here on the map called Hikmit. This is the home of the Bridge Alliance. I'm not sure if we got any footage of that, but it looks to be quite similar in terms of modern sort of city castle style, while there are also more regular camps from the natives of the islands that we can explore. And in the new gameplay, we actually see an encounter with these islanders and that you can also spy on them to hear what they are saying.
Farweden se lor quesa. Esto gemnas quel se.
Esrade da Orgel, Amadred Quaheluchton. New Ciendad, ne Sunadet.
So yeah, it's pretty hard to understand their language, but what is interesting is that during my play session at Gamescom, I actually did not know that you could spy them, so I walked straight up to them and then I could talk with them and used my charisma to let them tell me where I needed to go. So that's a small example of how things can play out differently, while right now in this gameplay you have no clue what they are saying. While in my gameplay I had a talk with them and they were actually pretty kind and they showed me the way. We discussed the region map in my previous video, so if you're not familiar, Greedfall is not an open world game but instead has these region maps that you can explore and you actually have to load in between the different regions. It's kind of like Borderlands. So we also have this legend, and we already touched on the arena icon, so you can find arenas inside a town inn. But now we learned that they are actually in the basement, and Eternity Raven 16 went to this location in his stream in New Shireen. He first had to pay 25 coins to get in, and then you have access to this pretty big arena actually. So when they told me that it was in a town inn, I was like, I don't expect this to be that large, but here we are, it's a pretty big arena. You'll then have to talk with the arena master and accept the current challenge. You can do it with your current party members that you can of course select, or also with an islander who was captured. Because you don't agree that he is in a cage, and likely fighting alongside him, completing the challenge will let you talk with him afterwards. That's at least what I think will happen. But yeah, then the challenge will be harder because you cannot bring your party members who you of course upgraded. So it's kind of up to you. And overall this challenge seems to be pretty tough already against a bandit with a skull above his head. Likely meaning that he is way too high level. And you got these two bull-like creatures running around as well. Eternity Raven seems to be too low level for this yet, but I do like what I'm seeing here. A pretty challenging fight with a cool combination of enemies, and there should be way more of these arenas in the other cities. And maybe there are multiple challenges per arena as well, and hopefully some good exclusive rewards too. I really love content like this that really focuses on the combat and puts your skill and gear to the test. So really cool to see it in Greedfall 2, and if this is a taste of all the arenas that are left in the game, then there seems to be a ton of content like this. Overall, I think the game looks pretty great. I see that Eternity Raven is having a great time as well. Again, link to his channel is in the description. As I said before, just don't go in expecting something of the budget of Assassin's Creed or Dragon Age in terms of size of the map, the graphics. I think that some of the talks with regular NPCs could have been improved as well, but if you just look past that, I think you can have a great time with this game. From everything I've seen, from the little 45 minutes that I've played, I'm even more excited now after watching this unedited content. It's not like the things that they want you to see, it's really someone playing the game. I might try my local shops here in the area too to see if they're already selling this game. I mean, apparently the retail version of Greedfall for the PS4 is already out there, and there's already a day one update, like someone on Reddit posted that and posted his impressions as well. So it seems like the game is ready, while they will of course wait for that September 10th release date. Maybe I can get a early copy so I can review the game and share my impressions. Either way, I will have more Greedfall up on this channel, so totally subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video to support the channel, and totally check out my previous Greedfall video on my full-on impressions after playing the game and more basic info on the combat and stuff like that. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.